magnets for MRIs. One, MRIs are very, very heavy. When you have standard, whether it's post-tension or precast concrete, one, you can't put imaging on it because of shielding, or there's a whole lot of work, and two, the weight. So they go in there, they put in ginormous steel beams with buffers. They have to put them through the 10th, 12th floor, whatever they're doing, hot work, cold work, and no hospital wants to be shut down for 6 to 10 weeks or 4 months. So a typical MRI room takes about anywhere between 3 to 4 months to do, and I can do it in 3 days. So I go in there. We work in live operating hospital rooms. So we're in room number 2, room number 1. They're cutting somebody open to the things. We're in there because the epoxies are hospital grade NSF, and we're strengthening those beams and joists. And then next cures in 24 hours. Next day we come back, do the next room. They go back. And so the hospital has lost very little revenue, and we're done. And so they did an entire structural upgrade. And price is about half the cost of steel, because, as we know these days, materials are very small in the world of construction compared to labor right now. Mm-hmm. And that's never going to change. I don't think anybody's going to work for less. And so when you can go in and retrofit a library in 5 days for a new rolling bookshelf that's going to take 4 months, obviously the price is going to be significantly less because you have a lot less labor. Sure, raw materials are much, much more, but at the end of the day, the price tag the client pays is 30, 40% less than what they're bid at.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Builder's Bible. I'm joined by Erik Guggenheim, who I'm just noticing has an amazing guitar collection behind him. So I'm excited to ask him about that. He's the president and CEO of Delta Structural and has sold his company a few times. He's been around in the industry for a long time now and has a really unique and interesting niche in the market, which I'm excited to kind of pick his brain on. Erik, tell us a little bit of the story. How did you get started with Delta Structural, and tell us in specific, like, what does your company do and offer in the construction space?
Sure. So Delta was originally a family-owned company here in Amarillo, Texas. We were at paving and large construction, highways, roads, bridges, things like that. And found with my dad. And like everybody else, we all worked in that business. We were farming and ranching, so we've done it all since when you're born into construction, you're born in construction, whether you like it or not. It's like farming. And so this was 82, so it's been around quite a while. Then that was a very, very large company, but in the time period, there's a technology developed here in Amarillo, Texas by Owens Corning, which is a composite division called carbon fiber. And that time, carbon fiber had no one even heard of it yet. And so developed here, we had some resources at Owens. Actually, we were working on their plants and parking lots, concrete, all those kinds of things. So got to know a lot of stuff going on there. And some of their folks said, hey, listen, this is going to be a product for highways, roads, and bridges, mostly for bridges and seismic. And so my dad and a man named Ed Fife, who's a chemist from DuPont, created a formula and created and patented one of the first seismic applications for carbon fiber. Probably 80, I would say 89, I think it was. And then that time period, went and had it tested, and then call it fortunately or unfortunately, Loma Prieta earthquake happened on one of our test sites. That's the earthquake where all the decks flattened in California and kill those people. Well, our test was on that bridge, and the bridge is still standing. So you end up going from testing and convincing to front page of New York Times and everything else of this space age product, and that kind of started the race back then. And then during that time period, the technology changed, and we're on the engineering side, not the manufacturing, but they work together. And so we got into just a ginormous testing race for many years for everything. We do a lot of blast proofing. So what Delta does, we are the construction arm of the testing. So we actually do the testing. After the Murrow building in Oklahoma City, we were hired to recreate a full-scale model of the Murrow building in White Sands missile range and blow it up. And so we do a lot of classes. So we've tested it. We've proven that carbon fiber is bomb-proof. It's in glass fibers and aramids. And so from that started a really big part of the company as well. And I think we're close to, I don't know, I think between five and now, there's I don't know how many thousands of tests being completed, from saltwater to blast to aerospace to blast chambers to you name it, to composite rebar as opposed to steel rebars. We've been a part of that the whole time. In the meantime, uh, I left a career. Well, like everybody else, did an exit from a company. I went into a whole nother business after college and all those things, and helped sell a company, and realized I really liked doing that, mergers and acquisitions and consulting, and then actually came to work. Uh, my parents had that paving company. They had already moved to Houston, and this nice paving company, and I came in. They asked me to come in and run it. I came in, ran it, and sold it in 6 months.
You really are. We're born into the blue collar space. You were born to a family that does paving, and
Yep.
yeah, I mean all sorts of construction. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, paving, farming, and ranching. I mean, we do horses, we do cattle, and we do asphalt and concrete. So that's
Eric, two follow up questions to the to a little bit of your story there. So number one, can you give us a sense of the size of the company in terms of like revenue or overall kind of deal
yeah,
flow?
now because we're in some deal structure, unfortunately. So right
Okay.
now we're we're. I'm not saying we're not doing it again. I'm not saying we're not doing it again. We're very close to being done with this thing.
Okay. Well,
But
just for the audience, it's a large company. We're not talking. This is not.
yeah, that's why I was
Yeah,
worried. Because our NDA doesn't allow us to talk numbers.
that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. And so for what you guys do, you are one of the largest companies that does it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
we
Okay.
but our industry is really unique, and so because what we are a structural engineering steel alternative or replacement. So I am steel's worst nightmare. Um, so steel project, take an MRI. What town are you in?
I'm in Denver, and that was my next question. Is I'm pretty naive to how
Yeah.
carbon fiber actually works, but and our audience is largely blue collar, so they're probably laughing that I'm asking this question. But where would I see carbon fiber in some of these commercial buildings? That I'm seeing here in Cherry Creek.
So I bet I've done 75 buildings in Cherry Creek or more. I'm in every major city in the United States. So what makes it unique is we've always talked about this in our marketing team, is our best work is unseen, and we do some incredible. I've won the ENR award many times for design build, and yet when you look at what we did, it had nothing to do with what we did. The final pictures that they put in the magazines or anything, I was like, I did none of that because we're the bones. And so, like, take stadiums. So one of the there's a if you're a big football guy, there's a ginormous disaster at the largest high school football stadium in the world in Allen, Texas, called the Eagle Stadium, and brand new $58 million high school football stadium, brand new, never got occupied. The day that it was built, it started breaking, and they needed to tear it down. So we got hired. That was one of my projects, and we applied carbon fiber to every single structural member of the entire stadium, every raker beam, every joist column, and but it was going to take about 5 years to fix. We did it in 9 months. And so carbon fiber, you take grade 60 rebar, 6,000 psi. Carbon fiber is 80,000 psi. Carbon fiber is an eighth of an inch thick.
Hmm.
So you're in Denver, you're downtown at one of the hospitals. This is a recent project, and we obviously, when you're in downtown, there's not a lot of room to go sideways with construction. Well, you got a new imaging center. You need to do more imaging, and you can't expand. So where do you go? You go up. Well, as you know, magnets for MRIs, MRIs are very, very heavy. When you have standard, whether it's post tension or precast concrete, you can't, you can't put imaging on there because of shielding, or there's a whole lot of work, and two, the weight. So they go in there, they put in ginormous steel beams with buffers. They have to put them through the 10th, 12th floor, whatever they're doing, hot work, cold work, and no hospital wants to be shut down for 6 to 10 weeks or 4 months. So a
Hmm.
typical MRI room takes about anywhere between 3 to 4 months to do, and I can do it in 3 days. So I go in there. We work in live operating hospital rooms. So we're in room number 2, room number 1. They're cutting somebody open to the things. We're in there because the epoxies are hospital grade NSF, and we're strengthening those beams and joists. And then next, it cures in 24 hours. Next day we come back, do the next room, they go back. And so the hospital has lost very little revenue, and we're done. And so they did an entire structural upgrade. And price-wise, price is about half the cost of steel. Because, as we know these days, materials are very small in the world of construction compared to labor right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's never going to change. I don't think anybody's going to work for less. And so, when you can go in and retrofit a library in 5 days for a new rolling bookshelf that's going to take 4 months, obviously the price is going to be significantly less because you have a lot less labor. Sure, raw materials are much, much more, but at the end of the day, the price tag the client pays is 30-40% less than what they're bid at.
So you do it faster for less cost
and longer
without that without them having to shut down. So I would imagine, I mean, that's an irresistible offer. I don't see who wouldn't take you up on something like that.
The only time we lose is whenever there are thresholds. So carbon fiber is so strong, we change what we call the failure mechanism of a building. So the way that steel works is when steel bends to a point, it yields. So it gets overloaded, and then it just stops. And it becomes actually really, really strong. That's why you see these buildings that fall, they just are draping. So it's already broke itself, but it's not shearing. Well, carbon fiber can't do that. Carbon fiber doesn't move. It's very, very strong. So when it fails, it explodes and it causes progressive collapse. So buildings would just literally fall down. That's whenever we can't. There are forces where we're making the building so strong that if something were to happen, it would be detrimental. And so with that said, ACI, as you know, American Concrete Institute, where we get all of our calculations, so ACI 440, we can only design to 20% of ultimate strength. So even though it's still strong, we're only getting to use a tiny bit of what it can actually do. Back in the day, we could use ACI 318, design exactly like steel, and there's some really strong buildings across this world. But so nowadays, so if it's too much, those are issues.
Erik, what's something that you feel like, obviously you've been involved in a lot of different enterprises. You've helped, a few businesses sell. What's the sticking point right now for you, for your business? Like what do you feel like are some, hurdles or barriers you're trying to overcome?
I mean, all of us have the same barrier right now. It's labor. Labor is always going to be the United States. We have a very difficult situation to navigate in the labor force. Again, we're a multinational company. I work all over the world, so I get to see labor forces all over the world. And we have and again, I know the answer and I don't know the answer. You want affordable housing, you want affordable construction, you need cheaper labor, period. However, finding cheaper labor, while there is a resource for it, it is very difficult to get it. So with that said, you can't lower prices because you can't lower the construction costs because you can't lower living costs. And so when the GDP, so I have a background in economics with my MBA from Harvard. So when I start getting really far into this stuff, it's very realistic in the working world. It's like when you look at supply chain management and you're a concrete guy, you're a steel guy, you're a drywall guy, our GDP specifically says we have to produce, it costs this much for America to produce this. We make this much money as America, but also we have these costs inside here that we're stuck with. Whether it's, Denver's not a cheap place to live. 35-year-old guy or take 27-year-old foreman is having a hard time finding a house today versus, when I lived in Denver for a while when I was younger, went to school, and it looks way different from the 90s. It's like, now you look at Wheatley and you go up to all that stuff, and those are $1 million almost starter homes that, before, you could build for much, I remember when, $75, $80 a square foot for a home was a fair wage for a home. And now you're 120, 170, 250. Well, the materials haven't gone up that terribly much. It's labor.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah, I mean, after having talked with thousands of construction guys, I just don't see a world where robots are not going to be taking over this. I mean, it's not going to be sexy for people to go to trade school again. Like, I just don't see a world where that's going to happen.
The only way trade school will work is if there is a lack of jobs in what I call developed education, and because a lot of guys who work for me have no college degree, or making $175,000, $200,000 a year. That's a really good job for a guy with a high school education. Well, that's a guy who wants to go do, and they're doing that in 2, 3 years. I mean, you're project manager, you got some experience, you come here, show out. You're gonna go quick. We're moving you. Uh, and so there's not a lot of jobs that are paying that with college degrees. That construction, you can make a lick. I mean, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
guys can make a damn good living quickly, young guys.
Hmm. Let's talk
And
about a. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
well, construction's not going anywhere. It's not.
Yeah.
My industry. We're recession proof, and we're also. I mean, when I built this company, I came to this company in 2002 as a consultant, and my job was to scale this company, sell it, and a bunch of other stuff. And what I first thing I did was I stabilized the company and figured out how to make a competitive advantage where you can beat a recession, you can beat. So what we do is we change our focus. Nail doesn't know what it does. A nail's a nail's a nail, but where that nail goes in a certain economy determines. So in our case, when it's a down economy, we're doing a lot of retrofits, a lot of fixes. When it's a new, we're working on a lot of high rises, a lot of new. So that's the biggest thing that a degree can't, or call it non-trade. Non-trades can't do that. If you're a doctor, lawyer, whatever, you're going to do that. And
Yeah.
you can't vertically or horizontally integrate very well.
What let's talk about AI for a second. You probably have some good insight as to where, it's affecting or changing the industry. What are some areas that you guys are using it, and where do you feel like you could be using it that you're not?
So AI is interesting. I've spent a lot of time and worked on some boards with some companies that are very AI based, and I've been working in AI now since 2012, so quite a while. And back then, uh, some of the first AI that I got into was actually in trade schools using VR type. Uh, BMW developed a VR glass, became AI. The shop mechanic puts it on, kind of like the Google glasses, and you can take a guy who's not a mechanic and he can rebuild an entire BMW with those glasses. It's insane, and that was 2012. So some of those things, some of those kinds of things, from a construction level, you're an AC guy, you're sitting there working on stuff, and you have the ability to use a Google Glass as something that says, "Oh, by the look at that, this is it's more of a diagnostic tool than a construction tool."
Mm-hmm.
Now, where do we use it? For us, uh, I, I talk about this quite a bit in various places when I give presentations at universities or business forums. Is AI will replace all presidents and CEOs in 10 years. There will not be a president and a CEO in today's capacity in 10 years. So what's my
Mm-hmm.
job as a CEO? Running public companies, running private companies. My job is to see the future. My job is to look at opportunities for see the future, find out where the next stick is, and then partner all those different things with other firms, other industries, other technologies. That's what we do. And then we run into our C-level team, which is your finance guys, your operations guys. But my job is kind of the visionary. AI can tell me what AI can tell me where my business is going faster than I can.
Mm-hmm.
Minutes. In minutes, it can tell me what is happening. And it's scary. So it looks at my balance sheet and says, in minutes, we ran this exercise just recently. In minutes, did what my entire audit took 2 months to do, plus or minus a few variables, but very accurate. So you have a very sophisticated staff of people who now got replaced in minutes. Now, does someone have to watch it? Sure. Someone has to say, is this data correct? Yeah. But I can ask it 15 different ways and have it modeled while we're on this podcast. I can have, hey, listen, we're looking at expanding into Memphis, Tennessee. What's the average weight? What's the delivery? All the different things that go in a construction project. It tells me in seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is it 100% right? No, but can I make very quick moves based off looking at expansion? Okay, we want to expand to here, and it tells me, well, there's already this many competitors, this much average price, this, and this, and I go, oof, that's no good.
Mm-hmm.
So AI, and of course you go into estimating. Estimating and AI are going to be very unique. More companies fail. working for different banks I've worked for as a workout consultant for construction companies, because banks and construction don't go together. Uh,
Hmm.
banks, yeah, banks and construction are adversaries, and so many banks end up with construction companies. They try to bail out, and no one, and they don't know how to build. They couldn't put two by fours together to build a dollhouse. However,
Yeah.
they got $1 million sitting there going, "What do we do with this company?"
Yeah.
So they get guys like me to come in there and say, "Hey, but." So what happens is, there's a level of, I call it just knowing if this is going to work or not, because I see more companies fail by estimations. To me, estimators make or break a company, because, as you know, once you sign that contract, you're there. You either doing real good or you're doing real bad, and you're going to know pretty damn quick too. And it usually starts with estimation. If you're an established company, your guys know what they're doing, and sure, things happen. Run into there's very rarely does a post-field operating company fail. A lot of companies failed when they missed a $200,000 part of these plans and are trying to cut corners to figure it out. Well, that came from the estimation. Well, AI can look at a set of plans and say, you need 37 wing nuts, 2 widgets, 97 this. Yes. What it can't do is determine that it's 109 degrees in Phoenix, Arizona, and so your average run rate of installation of HVAC duct is this many units per day or square feet. It doesn't. It takes the averages, but as we know, construction averages are based upon temperature, guys. There are different crews that work with others. There's so many variables that only a human being can do by knowing its customer and knowing its staff. So, but with that said, AI can catch a lot of mistakes that human beings make.
Yeah.
Oh, you missed, in this air handling unit, you missed this, and this on your bid sheet. So we use it as a kind of Google, if you will, Googling ourselves. It's like, let's Google our own spreadsheet to see if there's anything in here that
Yeah.
we might have thought of. And it picks up pretty fast, and then we can make a determination. But AI, your robots are not going to replace field guys. Technology will replace field guys. And that's
Hmm.
going to be a combination of tools, electron. I mean, again, look at the hand tools these days and the speed at which battery powered tools just baffle me. I
Yeah.
mean, there's some very large equipment being powered by batteries that are doing what took 2 or 3 guys in a
Yeah.
pneumatic years to do.
Yeah. So it's interesting so we talk about estimation because, I'm a financial advisor by trade. So I
Hmm.
kind of started this podcast a number of months ago as an industry study. I didn't even know what the heck estimating was. I didn't know what a takeoff was. But now I'm like dialed in and I talk to these construction guys. It takes them so much freaking time. And all of them have like their proprietary spreadsheet that they like plug the numbers into, or maybe they're using to some extent like a job trend or a builder trend or something like that. But I was like, wait a sec. So one of the companies I own is a virtual assistant staffing company. And now when I started to understand estimating, I was like, wait a sec, you don't have to be on site to estimate. So we started doing virtual assistant estimators. And lo and behold, it took me a second. I was like, wait a sec, they build buildings overseas too. To some extent, it's the same process. And what's really interesting is we source a lot from the Philippines. Have experience with Procore,
Yeah.
Builder Trend. It's just a lot of times it's getting the blue collar guy, like
Yes.
literally like getting him to believe it's possible, right? For his estimator not to be on staff, you know?
Yeah. And one thing is, majority of companies don't work internationally. Vast
Yeah.
majority of construction, versus us. I mean, when you work in 50 something countries, I mean, I've seen third world, sticks and stones all the way up to, working in Dubai. When I worked in, we do a lot of work in the Middle East, extremely technologically advanced construction firms. I mean, you go to Japan, top shelf, Singapore, a lot of places. I mean, they're better than we are at
Hmm.
construction itself. Their rules, their quality control standards are much higher than ours.
Yeah.
You go work in Osaka, you will see a level of safety and excellence that is we couldn't do. The
Hmm.
U.S. We're too Western cowboy. We like to blow and go, throw some safety glasses on, get the damn job done.
Yep.
And
Yep.
over there, it's like, but see, in the same Germany, there's emphasis on skill than completion time. And that's two
Mhm.
different time frames. Well, okay, so you take all that. So those are the people who are also trying to use technology because they have to be competitive. So they are early adopters of technology faster than we are. But at the same time, they're
That's
also
true.
mix scenes too.
That's true. Yeah.
You know,
My vision is for the low tech guy to be able to stay low tech. I don't expect half of these construction guys I talk to be able to use all these super nerdy AI tools.
mhm.
I want him to like walk away from the site, text his estimator or project manager, hey, I just poured concrete here, put it in the Gantt chart or whatever,
Mhm.
and then be able to move on to the next thing and swing the hammer there. And it's just the battle is the limiting beliefs. It's trying to get them to believe it's possible for someone in another country to help you run your business,
Yeah.
do it better for a fraction of the cost.
Was the way I explained it to my team years ago was Bluetooth. Bluetooth was made it very easy for me to do this because once Bluetooth cell phone measuring tools came out, you're in Denver and I'm over here in Amarillo, Texas, and I'm over here with the GPS doing grading, entering it into my phone or tablet, and you already have the plot done. Well, it didn't know you're in Denver. It went to wherever we said go to. And so before in the old days, you'd have to email it or scan it, fax it. And guys didn't believe you could go out to the site and have that one little stick doing all this stuff, which is now because you couldn't find a guy who would do it. Well, there's nobody in the world who doesn't do that. So it's like, guys, you didn't have a problem once you saw it worked and that,
Yeah.
you're still in the office and you got two field guys out there measuring. And we already had the bid put together before we ever even got back in the truck. What's the difference between me doing that here in you in Denver or you in the Philippines?
Yep.
It,
Amen.
that's not
Uh,
just one will always be two, no matter where you're at in the world.
yeah. Yep. Totally. Let's talk about the guitar thing for a sec. So you got a bunch of beautiful guitars behind you. So you
Yeah.
said you not only do you play, you make them. So tell
A
us
lot,
tell
a
us a
lot
little
of
bit
these,
about that.
yeah, many of these I've built. So there's lots and lots and lots of guitars. Yeah, just like been a luthier. Actually, went to Luther school in Colorado, and a long time ago didn't know what I was going to do in life, being a musician forever, but really enjoyed working on instruments and finding great sounds and tones from instruments. And I went to Luther school in Golden in '97, and then just kind of kept doing it as a hobby forever, and building for different musicians and people and things like that.
Who's two questions? Who's the coolest musician you've sold a guitar to? And who's your favorite guitarist?
Okay, my favorite musician I would say that has one of my guitars right now is a guy named Stoney LaRue. He's a phenomenal red dirt musician
Hmm.
and just a good friend, but just a great, great, great musician. Stoney has one of mine that's probably my favorite. My favorite musician is Jerry Garcia by far, a guitar player. If you've been to a very lot of Grateful Dead shows, there's
Oh, dang. Look at that.
I got walls and walls. So yeah, big fan of Jerry. I think, but John Mayer is absolutely the best guitarist living right now, hands down. Hands down. I mean, it's not. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. Whether you like his music or not like his music, the guy can play anything, anytime, anywhere, at different levels. He's
Hmm.
he's sensational.
Hmm. That's amazing. Well, Eric, if people want to learn more about who you are and what you do, where can they go?
I would say for work wise, you can go to fiberapp.com to learn about Delta Structural and carbon fiber. Then there's always all the social medias.
Yep. And what about the guitar stuff? Do people have to reach out to you directly?
It's all social media. Yeah, you can
All
go
social
to
media.
Instagram and
Okay.
see all there.
Cool, guys. Well, everybody go check out. So it's fiberwrap.com. The name of the company is Delta Structural. And yeah, Eric has been, a friend of the show. He's been a great person to kind of lean on. And I can sense that he's very open, so I would assume that if somebody reached out, he probably would want to
Absolutely.
help you. Yeah. So Eric, go ahead.
For families.
Yeah. So don't go anywhere. I want to chop it up with you a little bit, but thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
You bet. Thanks, guys.